Welcome to A Scrap Life, a podcast solely focused on the hustlers, grinders, operators, and business owners who live and breathe the scrap metal industry every day. Here is your host, Brett Eckhart.
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Scrap Life. You guys know me. I prefer to do podcasts with either people that are doing something big in the industry or just people that I have had the opportunity to do business with over the years. And you guys might recognize this company, Premier Scrap Services, because they've been around for a while. But kind of the cool new thing that they've got going on right now is they've come under new ownership. And I think they're kind of trying to build a few more services than kind of what they were traditionally known for. So us still doing business with these guys today, doing contract torching. I invited Colin Douthit from Premier Scrap Services on just to shoot the shit and come kind of tell us a little bit about how you ended up in this crazy scrap world, and just to kind of introduce him to anybody that doesn't really know like what they do. Like I said, I like to talk to people that have always done me right and people that have treated me well, because I feel like, good business should beget more good business. So thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brett. It's excited to chat with you. I know when we first got into the industry, started trying to research, more about it and who was the movers and shakers, and seeing your stuff out there on social media and your podcast was like, this is the guy I want to talk to. And then it's like, oh, hey, we're doing business together too, so it's kind of a win-win.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are always the fun conversations, because you kind of have it's I don't know. Those are the ones I like. I like to promote guys that are fucking doing it. Like they're out there not just talking about it, but they're actually like paying the price. They're actually they're putting their money where their mouth is, and trying to build a business. Business builders are probably like my favorite people to talk to, because they're like me. Like probably we align a
Yeah,
little bit more. Like we're trying to grow and we're always trying to do stuff, and I think that building a business is fucking hard, and
it is
it's
very hard. It's one of the hardest things I've done.
yeah
This
it's
is I've had a few now, built them from scratch. Stepping into one that was already running was super refreshing, as opposed to like having to, I mean, there's still a grind, but it's not like that just entirely uphill grind starting from zero
yeah.
and on a hope and a prayer. But yeah, love business building.
So one thing that kind of I picked up on one of the first times I talked to you and is you play a little football.
Hmm.
So a guy that was a meathead myself, played a little football. I was like, oh, you play football. One of these days I'm gonna ask you about that. So like where are you from? Give me a little bit of background on you, and kind of, and where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so Midwest kid, born and raised out here in the Kansas City area, just outside Kansas City. Went to school in Central Missouri.
Okay.
Played football there for 5 years. A couple of good injuries, like any good football player has.
Uh-oh, what happened? What
I
sort of injury?
tore one ACL my senior year of high school, tore my other one my senior year of college.
Uh, uh.
So I never got to finish a senior year. That's my fun little stat. So
So how far along your senior year of high school?
high school, I tore it. I think it was in like our fourth game,
Okay.
and then in college, it was in practice after our second game. And actually, my partner in Premier Scrap, Adam, him and I were doing like a push pull drill because I was a lineman, and it was like a stick drill just to maintain balance. Like it was like a no contact
Yeah,
drill,
yeah, yeah.
and I tore it like it with a brace on.
Dude, I
And
saw a guy doing that same drill, and it was this one-on-ones. I mean, and
mhm,
they were, and it wasn't full speed, but it was like, maybe 70%,
yeah,
and just one-on-one offensive lineman, defensive lineman. And I saw his whole fucking kneecap slide up into
no,
his thigh, and I was like, oh, like I didn't walk away. I was like, they're done. I said that you're
no.
done for the season. I said that's a wrap.
Yeah, we'll see you later, bud. No, that's
Yeah.
disgusting. So
Oh,
I like to give Adam a hard time. I was like, dude, you tore my ACL. And he's like, no, I didn't. Like it was a push pull drill. We weren't even touching
yeah.
each other.
You're like, you
So,
ruined my chances to go to the NFL. If it wasn't for
dude, I was
you,
gonna
I
go
would be
pro.
making.
I mean, 6'3", 290 pounds. Like that is what the NFL is looking for in alignment. So
all five. I run a 5.40. Fucking let's
Exactly.
go.
Like I was a catch. It's all because of you. Now
Yeah.
I'm stuck here doing this. So
Uh, I love it. I love it. Well, I've been thinking about that. I was like, I know, I heard him mention one time he played a little college football, so I was
mhm.
gonna ask the question. So
What did you play?
I played middle linebacker.
Okay.
So in
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school, I played running back and middle linebacker, and then and when I went to college, I I was too slow to play running back, and so they're like, "All right, you're on defense. Probably definitely not fast enough to play running back, and just dumb enough to go run into people at
Mhm.
full speed." You know?
Just go run and hit people.
Yeah, like just and which suited me better. That like just go find the ball and do
Mhm.
your job and make some tackles. So
Yeah.
fun fact about me, I tore my left calf going into my senior year, but I never redshirted. So I
Hmm.
actually redshirted my senior year, transfer school, played my senior year at another college. It was like our rival because we had got a new coaching staff at the school I got hurt at. And so I got hurt during double days going into my senior year. And so I kind of adjusted, changed up my whole course. And like a 6 foot, 240 pound middle linebacker, I wasn't really destined for the
Yes.
NFL
Yes.
myself. So I
Yeah.
knew I was going to work for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I knew, and that's one of the reasons I picked the school I did. I went to engineering school, like a really good engineering school, and I was like, I'm not going to the league. Football's going to help pay the way, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But it's life after that where it matters.
But what's cool, man? Like, so the guy that, so my freshman year, we both played, the guy that now runs all of our insurance, all of my HR, is a guy that I met as a freshman. We both played middle linebacker. We both played the same position. He was from the eastern part of the state. I was from the west side of the state. And we both ended up at the same school, competing for the same position, and we became best friends.
That's awesome.
And so, like, I really recruited him for like probably 4 or 5 years. Like, literally, like, I'm like, hey, we leave. Like, I got a family business. Like, we're going to go to work, right? We
Uh-huh.
both were business majors, and we got along really well. We lived together for a couple years. And so then after college, he left and went into he chased a girl for a couple years, and eventually I kind of roped him into coming back in. So it sounds like you have a similar, maybe not a similar story, but a similar relationship with a business partner on your end, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So Adam and I were both offensive linemen. We both came in the same recruiting class, similar to you guys. Did compete a little bit for the same position, but not always. He was a pretty utilitarian player. I was tackle, and yeah, we got to know each other. There was a group of us that became best friends. Adam and I roomed together when we traveled on away games. We were in each other's weddings, and then we both went through a couple different corporate jobs for engineering. Then I spun off after getting asked to be a customer. So I had started a real estate business. I started building a property management business. We were doing construction, rehab, all that stuff. And I was like, hey, Adam, like, you're really good at project management. Not my strong suit because I got fired from that job. So how about you come help me out with this and we'll see what it can become. And that was November of 2019. He started working with me like right in the beginning of 2020.
Okay.
COVID happened. He got downsized and it's like, okay, we're going full time. And we just built the business from there, built it and had a successful exit after some ups and downs and learned a lot on business and
Yeah.
had the opportunity to acquire Premier together.
And
So
that was on the real estate side, right? Is what you're
yeah,
real estate management and
yeah. Real estate. We did residential property management. We did maintenance, rehab, flips, that sort of stuff.
okay. And so what kind of got you going down that path, the real estate side?
I read a book, yeah, and it just led to another book. I mean, that's I said that a whole bunch. It's like the gateway drug for me was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert
Yeah.
Kiyosaki. Like
Yeah.
that got me into it. I was like business, real estate, and he talks about, hey, there's employees, there's really high paid professionals, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Make a lot of money, but they still are trading time for dollars for time. And then there's the business owners and the investors, like kind of on his other group. I was like, I'm going to go down the investor route. So I started buying real estate.
Yeah.
And then I built up my own portfolio. I was like, man, I'm having to do all the property management myself. It's like, what if I started a small property management company, made enough revenue that I could manage my own units for free. That'd be really cool. Not
Yeah.
thinking about like actually building a big business. And then it just kind of blew up from there. And instead of managing like 300 units, like my goal was, 24 months down the road, we're managing like 1,500 units,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And we've got
Yeah.
60 employees. We're in
Yeah.
multiple markets across multiple states. And it's like, I wasn't expecting this,
Yeah.
which was really cool. But once I started selling, I was like, I'm just going to put the throttle down. Like, I'm not going
Oh,
to.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, we just got to grow. And that's what we did.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you guys, when you guys sold that business, is did you sell it and then went looking for another business to own, or did you guys know Mark? And so if you guys don't know who we're talking about Mark Immel. He was the guy that started Premier originally, and kind of the guy that I had developed a relationship with originally. Mark was a hustler. He came from the scrap business, the
Mm-hmm.
scrap industry. He was like third generation, second or third generation,
Yeah.
um, and kind of let his dad, I think, run the one that he had been a part of, and then decided he was going to start the um kind of, I think, probably just originally started with just torch cutting, right? And later,
Yeah. It started with just a couple of
yeah.
guys torching.
And
And it
did you
grew.
know Mark ahead before that?
No,
Or
I
how-
didn't. We really sold our previous company kind of in two, like there was two parts. There was like a major sale of like all of our retail customers. So we sold
Uh-huh.
all that business. And we had one large corporate customer. We kept that account for another year past the sale. We knew that contract did have an end date because that's the way those REITs work as they turn over.
Yeah.
And really what they did is they had a whole bunch of property managers across the country and they aggregated it into two kind of more nationwide property managers. We knew that was coming, but it's like, hey, we're making good money. Like, let's just keep running this thing. We had it
Yeah.
systematized, a couple really good employees. It was a lot smaller, and we were actually making more money because there's less risk on that
Yeah.
side. And then it was like nicer properties. So the nicer properties generate more revenue. Um, so when we started, we sold that half. We rode the other contract out for a while, kind of saved a bunch more cash, and then we contacted an investment banker or business broker and said, "Hey, we're looking for a business. Here's some criteria. Here's the size of business. Here are some possible industries, right?" And
Okay.
we didn't want to be in some sort of sexy, pretty industry where everybody's trying to compete and look real sharp. And I didn't want to be a insurance agent with my face on a billboard. Nothing against those guys. That's just not what I was looking for anymore. Want to be in a dirty industry, frankly.
Which
And
the real estate industry is kind of one of those sexy, clean industries,
it,
right?
it
Like,
is, unless you're those guys that's grinding out, doing house flips, doing all the work yourself. Like, yeah, you
yeah,
can get
yeah,
dirty and go to those houses, but I didn't like going, a dirty house versus a dirty scrap yard is way different. Like I will
yeah.
take a dirty scrap yard over a dirty house any day of the week. 'Cause those houses, they got that smell and you
Yeah,
never know
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
gonna uncover in those. So yeah, and that's once we got into it more, we're going to like local meetups and stuff, and everybody's trying to get the fanciest clothes on, fanciest watch, whatever. And I'm like, yeah,
Uh,
that's cool and all. But it's like not my scene. I live out in the country now. Like I'm past that. Like you know, I live in the country. I got cows, I got pigs, I got chickens. Like like
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
that's not what I'm trying to do. So
It's a different form of dirt,
it's a
Like,
different form of dirt. I'm okay with the
yeah,
dirt, right?
yeah,
The mud,
yeah, exactly.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, we kind of laid out those parameters, and he started bringing us, businesses, like earth moving businesses, waste disposal companies, even like porta potty companies. Like, hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then about this one got brought across the table. We looked at it, we're like, yeah, I think that we like the numbers on it. We like the industry. We like the growth potential here. Um, there'd been a really good team put around Mark and brought in a good team around him that does a really good job operating the business. We still have that entire team, the office structure in place. They've done a great job for us. So, we said, hey, let's
Let's
go with
give it
this
a
one.
shot. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that once you understand how a business operates, especially a business where I mean, I feel like the transition of managing people's houses for them is
Mm-hmm.
similar to what you guys are offering on the services side, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
torching or whether it's, cleaning wheels or whether it's cleaning offices or, whatever that is, it
Yeah.
feels like you're just helping somebody else manage something that they own. And specifically on this side, it's the labor, right?
Yeah. Labor's become a huge part of the business. It did start as just a torching company, and it grew, and the opportunity for labor then arose, and that was really a boon to the business, because there's a lot of jobs that are really hard to source. I mean, in a scrapyard, in a metals facility, it's hot, it's sweaty, it's dirty, it's cold,
Yeah.
it's repetitive tasks, and we found that we were able to tap into a need, and then we were able to provide a service. And at the end of the day, we're really a services based business, like you were saying. But similar to property management, that's a service business, right? You're taking care of an asset, you're cleaning the asset, you're maintaining the asset. So with this, we're helping people clean, maintain their assets, which is going to be their yards, their machinery, and provide the service to them.
Man, you know what's crazy? I just go to trade shows, and people are like, how's business? I'm like, business is good and the price is good. And they're like, how are you able to get help? Can you get, like, can you get enough guys? Especially like after COVID, right?
Yeah.
I mean, during COVID and after, I mean, what a fucking deal. I mean, we were just every time it was just, you can't get guys. I mean, nobody can get guys, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's like, to me, as soon, and if I was smart enough, I would have figured out what you guys figured out. But like, there's a real niche being built for people and for companies, small, medium, large, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter, that are having a hard time filling spots. And sometimes in our business, you might get a wave, you might get 30 days, 60 days, 120 days, a year contract, where
Mhm.
you got a bunch of material that you haven't really dealt with or you're not used to dealing with at your facility. So then you got to bring, either you got to shift guys around, you got to put something on the back burner, or you got to staff up and try and figure out how you're going to manage that bit of material. And I think after, COVID, or like kind of was starting to slow down a little bit, say 2021, I say 22, the
Mhm.
volume and the pricing was picking up, and just
Yeah.
it was pouring in, right? And people were just like, yeah, we can pretty much buy what we want to buy, but we can't process it. We don't have the guys. We don't have
Yeah.
you know. And so I would have to assume that is what really created the niche for someone like yourself or someone else that I've done business with in the past, of Blake Dorsett, who runs mobile shears. Like,
Mhm.
I think those mobile shears, I mean, that was just that was a need that was out there, and he attacked it, and they've done well. It feels like what you guys are offering is one of those deals. It's a need that's there for people, if if they know it's available, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with the torching, those contracts, we have some guys where it's like, hey, I need you for a month, right? And they'll need us for 3 weeks or a month every 6 months, right? Hey, we've piled up all oversized stuff. We got it back here in the yard. Can you guys come clean it up? Great. Um, because maybe they don't have a torch guy on staff, or their
Mhm.
guy, maybe their insurance, whatever reason. But then, sometimes people just don't want to deal with the torching, right? They don't want to bring that in house. It's just easier to push all that responsibility and that liability someplace else. Because it's a niche job, and there's not like you go to like torching school, like you go to welding school or something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd think it's the opposite of welding, though. You're taking something apart, but
It's
I've been
very
surprised watching our guys. There's an art to it. You gotta have a touch.
So I grew up. That's what my favorite job was growing up. Is I
Mhm.
I could I could run a cut and torch, like with the best of them. So
Yeah.
I used to I'd go out in the yard, and my dad, like, anytime I wanted to work, he'd be like, go run a torch, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
could pretty much do whatever, run the recycling center, but there was just something I always found like pretty fun about taking something really big, and you
Yeah.
had you had access to fire, and you could cut it. And it was just like, as a teenager, even like a young teen, like 13, 14, 15, I could just be out there on my own, but I'd have a couple guys around me that were also cutting, and they'd be like, don't cut that right there. You're gonna drop that sucker on your foot, like, get your feet
Yeah.
out, get the hose out of the way. But you learn really quickly, like, there's an art form to it.
Yeah.
Like, and where to cut, like, because you want the least amount of cuts,
Yep.
you're just there's just and so when you see a guy when you see a guy that knows what they're doing, like me, having done that job a fair amount, like, I just know, right? I'm like, oh, that guy got a lot of
He
iron in him,
knows. Yeah.
he knows the deal. And I will say this: the guys that you guys have sent us over the years have been, like, they're those guys, right? Like,
Mhm.
because we've had the way we've used your services, just like just kind of off the top or like kind of offhand, but the way we've used Premier is like say we've got big windmill jobs. And so we might get it's not material we see on a consistent flow basis, but anybody that's ever been a part of doing a windmill demo, what happens is they call you, say, hey, we want these units out this date, and you literally will get like 3,000 fucking ton brought. They want it out in like 3 weeks, and you're like, where am I gonna put 3,000 ton or 2,000 ton of iron, and then get it out of my way because real estate's it's in high value around here. Like
Yeah.
you can't just put it in the corner and get to it when you get to it because it takes up a ton of space. And that's always been when I would call up Jay, who's still with you, or Mark, and be
Mhm.
like, dude, I need 4 guys. Like now, can you get me 4 guys? And they'd get me. So from my experience, that's been like it adds that flexibility to your business, you
Yeah.
know. It allows you to be big without being big, right?
Mhm. We discovered that in our last business, and we've really done that the same as far as we run our business. So the way that we allow you to, expand and contract as needed, we do that we outsource our services, and we learned that was very valuable for us because we can go to a service provider that can scale with us or shrink with
Hmm.
us as needed, right? If you bring in HR or accounting or whatever in house, like you have that fixed cost, they have a certain capacity. But if you outsource that, they can grow with you. And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about, oh man, my one accountant put in their 2 weeks notice. I have to find somebody and train them. And if I have a gap, I'm totally screwed. It's no, we have a team on an accounting service company that handles all that for us. So we don't have to worry about losing that institutional knowledge or a transition there or just relying on one person. If they go on vacation, we have a problem, that sort of thing. We do the same thing with our HR. We outsource all that. And they can grow with us. We use them on our last company.
Well, it allows
Um,
you to provide consistency, like
yeah.
consistency of like people, of services, where,
Mhm.
if one guy has something going on with his family, he's got to go, or because you're sending guys to remote areas a lot of
Yeah.
times, right? And
Yeah. Scrapyards, they're all over the place.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so that consistency has got to be like uber valuable. Um,
Yeah, it is. And we do the same thing with our labor services as well, right? We do long-term labor placement. So we don't really try to compete with like the labor readies or the manpowers where it's like, hey, I need 2 guys for a week. That's generally not where we fit in, but it's like, hey,
mhm.
I have consistent turnover on my pickers or my cleaners or, working in a melt facility or wherever that is. Like we have constant turnover, always training. And that's just a hard position to fill because it's a low skill position or fill in the blank. Um, that's where we fit in. Our guys stay around for a long time, even in these really bad conditions or these jobs that nobody wants to do where you got to wear respirators all day or it's
Yeah.
elements or whatever. So that's
Well, and
niche
then the
we've got.
cool thing is too is I mean you get a guy like we have one of your guys right now, right? And we've moved him to a few different yards. We're like, hey, we need some more cut up over here. Like let's, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes for those guys a little change of scenery, a different hotel or a different setup, like,
Mhm.
and but he's really damn good at what he does. So we're like, hey, just get him to the next spot and let him keep cutting there, and
Yeah.
so that part of it's allowed us to kind of like we've talked multiple times about should we just set up our own crew, like our own like quote unquote torch crew or our own, because if you know me, like I kind of like to just do self-perform a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
But as a guy who likes to self-perform a lot of stuff, I'm telling you, like there is certain things that if you can outsource are uber valuable to your
Yeah.
business that allow you to that expand and contract. Like what you're
Mhm.
saying on your guys' end, even from a business owner, it allows you to expand and
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. I am of the mind to outsource as much as you can with a business within reason to still maintain your quality. But if you can outsource some of those headache areas to somebody
Mhm.
else, it allows you to focus on stuff that makes you the most money.
Well, I was having a meeting with somebody the other day, and we were talking about growth and potential growth, and they were talking about that they have a yard space, right? And they say, hey man, I got an extra 5 acres I could do something with, and I was like, well, do you guys cut iron? Do you guys run cutting torches? They're like, no, 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 we don't have that. We can't find that many people. We yada yada. And I said, And I was just telling him, like, as a growth opportunity, right? And like, think about this. Like, if you guys have the ability to buy the iron, you may not have the ability to cut it today, right? But if you could buy it and
Mm-hmm.
you can outsource some of that processing, that could at least allow you to determine if that's a business that you want to get in, right?
Yeah.
You get 1,000 ton on the ground, get a company to come in like yourself and come in and cut it and just see, like give yourself, well, you're not committing wholeheartedly to it, but you're saying like this could be a really good growth opportunity for you. And it maybe not something you've ever thought about, but it's something you could kind of outsource and kind of start to see, is there something there that I could just kind of keep, allow me the growth opportunity if I can buy the material and kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. It does allow you to have that flex or those opportunities that you might not have when you can outsource stuff. So, um, you can also find those skilled trades. So that way you don't have to be a master of everything
Yeah. I think
in-house.
that's kind of the key, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've ran into some pretty talented people in my life, but I don't know that any of them can do all of it, right? Like, I think the best ones have found people to help them do things, like,
I,
and
I mean, if we want to go to the most extreme, you start looking at somebody like an Elon Musk, right? Like he can't do it all, but he surrounds himself with people that know how to do it and gets them pointed in the right direction and lets them work in their area of specialty, right? Like
yeah,
with a company, like we can't be masters on taxes and accounting and legal and HR. Like we can't perform all those functions. That's why we have, employees, consultants, or outsourced services.
how the hell is Elon Musk gonna be part of the government also when he already has like 8 other fucking jobs?
Yeah, that's one that I'm excited to see. Like I'm like, oh man, we could really lean this thing out, right? If you did it like you did Twitter, right? Just throw
Oh
out,
man,
bring in the state.
I wish we could be like, hey, Elon, can you just hire 5 guys to be CEOs for the next 4 years of your businesses and just apply those same principles that you did to Twitter and
Mhm.
SpaceX to the government, and let's just see how much bullshit we can cut out for a while.
Yeah, it's great when you think about what he's actually done and
Yeah,
created. Like, started a car company from zero, started a rocket program, started satellite internet, you know, tunnel boring company, whatever else he's working. I can't even keep track of it all, but it's like
yeah.
that's crazy.
I mean, I always feel like you maybe you can lend some knowledge to this, but I always feel like the first business is the hardest one. It's the one you have to take the most lumps. And if you can have one successful one that can kind of give you a little bit of breathing room, then it feels like you've got the bandwidth, and mostly you probably have the knowledge of like all the mistakes you've made and kind of what you've used to grow and do. And if you get one good one underneath your belt, it feels like just like any experience, right? Then you can kind of see stuff a little bit farther down the road than when it's just not right in your face because you've been down that path. Do you see that as an opportunity with Premier, having already been a part of building one to be successful?
Oh yeah, we took a lot of lumps in our last one. I mean, we had made some serious errors along the way,
Yeah.
which then led us to really start outsourcing some of those things. That's actually one of the reasons we got into outsourced accounting, right? Property management, it's a niche industry. Niche accounting within its own software, and we just kind of
Yeah.
had somebody else in our office like doing invoicing and everything like that, and we were missing a lot. We were leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
And so we brought in an outside person, like, oh yeah, all we do is work within these property management softwares to do all the accounting, and it's totally changed the game for us, right? And
Yeah.
so we looked ahead at that, and it was like, we don't want to do accounting. Like day one, before we even closed on the business, we already had the accountant getting ready to start the day we closed, right? We
Yeah.
had a fractional CFO, boom, ready to go on the day we closed, right? So
Yeah.
all those things we had those sort of things lined up because we had seen those same mistakes, we'd made those same mistakes. We saw where we lost money, where we lost time, lost efficiency, where we thought we were having wins, but they were losses, right? Growth, right? Growth, for instance, you grow
Yeah.
as fast as we did, and it breaks everything within the company. It breaks all your systems and all your processes. So, being able to meter our growth going forwards, or say, hey, once we bought the business, let's look at all the systems. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to change the way we do business. We want to change the way we operate internally so that we then can grow and not outrun the internal systems and processes. So we rebuilt all of the back end and all the internal processes based on feedback we got from the employees and where we saw inefficiencies. And now it's like, okay, boom, we can double the size of our company and we are confident that our internal systems can handle
So
it.
when you think about businesses, I mean, what do you feel is like the core part of your businesses that you should be trying to, retain and maintain? And then where are probably the biggest efficiencies you picked up? I know you named accounting, but like where are some of the biggest efficiencies you picked up on the outsourcing side, as you try to build one?
Well, accounting and HR, once you get to those two, those are easy.
Yeah.
So accounting with our first business, that's the past now. With our current one, um, we found a large accounting firm. Company is headquartered in Indianapolis. We live in Kansas City, but we work coast to coast. Almost all of our
Yeah.
employees are in the field, so geography is not really a big hamper for us. But we are CFOs here in Kansas City, and he hooked us up with another firm in Kansas City. But they handle all of our accounting, right? They do the books, they do reconciliations, they produce the invoices. They kind of handle everything for us on that side. So accounting is a super easy one to outsource, and one that you can screw up really easy if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know. I mean,
HR and payroll is the next one, right? Like we grew our old business, we were using QuickBooks Online. Great. We still use it now, but we got into QuickBooks payroll system. Okay. I was just, we're paying people, we're withholding taxes. I didn't know how to make a tax payment to the government. I
yeah.
didn't, I've got these withholdings and all of a sudden I got to catch up on like $40,000 worth of tax payments to the government because I didn't know what I was or was not doing because I'd never done that before as a business
Yeah.
owner. I was more concerned about sales and performing the work than I was all that back office stuff. So the next thing we did is we joined a PEO, a professional employment organization. Basically, they aggregate a bunch
Okay.
of people to go negotiate for health insurance. So boom, they handled all of our health insurance. They handled all of our benefits administration, 401k. They did all the payroll. They handled paying all the taxes and the quarterly
Yeah.
filings to the government and all that sort of stuff. All that back end office stuff that just gives you headaches.
Yes.
We've given that to people that are truly professionals at that. And now we can focus on operations and business development.
There you go. I feel like there's a sweet spot in there for outsourcing some of your business, right? I
Mhm.
feel when you're very big and you're at the gate, when you kind of need it's almost like a coach, consultant slash help to kind of make sure your systems and processes are correct. And then you
Yeah.
can decide which ones do you want to internally do. But I feel like out the gate, it can be very beneficial to start that way. You know what your fixed costs are, you know what it's going to cost you to do certain things. And
Yeah.
then you go through like a middle phase where you've got economies of scale where you can actually have a full-time HR person in-house that because you've got enough people and you've got enough things going on, you're like, okay, I can do that, right? Full-time accounting. And then you get to the maybe like the third level and above, which is going to be you're big enough now that you've almost overworked that the internal system and you're like, okay, if I want to grow, I've got to do X and I want
Mhm.
to keep my core group because I trust them. They keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
value their opinion. But that's really how you're gonna really get to the next level. And I feel like that's probably something that's probably came along really maybe in the last 30 years, 20, 30 years, and really got a lot more, and really even more recently, some of this like fractional CFO, fractional
Mhm.
accounting, like where you haven't really seen that opportunity, that availability or opportunity in the past as much as you are today, where there's a lot of people out there that are just fine working for four or five, six companies, right? And kind of doing the
Mhm.
books and kind of giving you that bandwidth to grow without necessarily having to have another full-time accountant or another full-time HR person or another whatever. And just it kind of gets you over that growth, that next level of growth hump. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The fractional CFO, we have one of those, hadn't before.
mhm.
It's been great, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to spend 150, $200,000 a year on CFO. We spend a lesser amount. We get enough of his time that we have stuff addressed. He handles the banking relationship. He manages that accounting, that outsourced accounting firm, because he knows what to talk to them about. He knows what to look for. And we do strategic planning ahead and tax planning, all that sort of stuff. And um, outsourcing is huge. Obviously, I believe in it because I'm doing it. We also allow people to do the same thing through the services that we provide.
I've had the most luck with kind of change subjects on you, but I've had the most luck with people that played team sports. Like
Yeah.
with people on our team, like everybody, like you look at our core group of guys and gals, they've all played sports. Like every
Hmm.
one of them played sports or was involved in some sort of team activity. And that may not the same sport as some basketball guys, some football
Hmm.
guys, other sports, but there's such a crossover when you're trying to build a business of people that know how to build a team or what it feels like to be on a team. Like,
Yeah.
do you see that similarly?
Yeah, to an extent. Nobody's ever going to care about the business as much as you do as the owner,
Oh yeah,
right? So,
1000%.
no employee will ever care that much. But yeah, the ones that do know how to share the load, right, are really nice.
Yeah,
In the offensive lineman world for me, I was left tackle, I got a left guard. If I get beat to the inside, my left guard's there to help clean up, right, on a pass protection or something like that. Like it's nice to have somebody there that can help catch that if something gets dropped, or they can be a little bit more of a utility player, and you can kind of,
yeah,
hey, I know that you do this over here, but man, this week I really need you over here. And they're like, all right, yeah, whatever you need. Like let's just get it done. Like we were aligned on trying to win that goal ahead of us.
yeah.
We've had some good luck with athletes. Property management world doesn't attract a lot of athletes, so I have to say that was one we didn't see a lot of.
Uh-huh.
Maintenance guys tend to be maintenance guys, and property management world, a lot of ladies are property managers, and frankly, they're a lot better at it than the guys are. Never had a good
Yeah.
male property manager, so.
I was gonna say, like, so was it the property management is a lot more female dominated world than say the scrap industry?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the ownership level. I think that's a pretty good mix, but the ones doing the actual property management that are relating with the tenants and the owners, just because women tend to be much better at relational
Yeah,
type things
but they're
than
a
men
little
are.
more empathetic. I think
They are empathetic.
I'd say,
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Guys are like, yeah, that sucks.
yeah,
And
like
get
with your
over it.
plumbing, your shit's still broke. Like we need that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like we'll just problem solve. We just want to get to we just want to fix it, be done. Like let's go. Like what's
Yeah, I appreciate
the
your
next
feelings,
issue?
and I'm sorry that something bad happened, and now you can't pay your rent. But you still have to pay your rent, and
Yeah,
we're just like, pay or attorneys. Like it's your choice.
yeah. There's like you have A or B, you
Yeah,
know.
A or B. I mean, it's pretty black and white. That's why we have a contract. So.
So what's the crossover? Like, what makes you think like you and your partner can come in
Mhm.
and from a whole nother industry and have success in this industry, in the scrap industry? What makes you feel that?
We have already been able to build a business and take care of customers and make them happy,
Okay.
uh, through a service-based business. We again are in another service-based business, labor service, torching services, other ones that other verticals we're working on adding. We know how to put the team together to execute the work and get it done, right?
Yeah.
Are we still learning about the scrap industry and some of the nuances and certain types of obscure metals, or fill in the blank? Yes, we're always learning, but you should always be learning no matter what industry you're in. Even if you've been in it for 20 years, you're still going to be learning.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can pull together a team, execute the work, and take care of the customers, that's the same thing at the end of the day.
It is. It's the same. I always tell you, I don't care if my accountant knows the difference between 316 and 304 stainless. I really, other than the price difference is, 107 and 59 cents. But as long as you know the price difference, I don't really care if you can spot the fucking difference. But you should know make sure the books match up because that's your wheelhouse, right? And I feel
Yeah.
like that what people don't kind of what people need to understand, and I'm speaking this just from a guy who has saw the value in it, is if your guys can cut iron and they're really good at cutting iron, then it doesn't really matter like if they can do anything else. But if they're really good at that one thing, let them be good at it, right? And I think when you start outsourcing things, we've outsourced some of our payroll functions. We've outsourced a few things, and it's always been kind of like refreshing in the fact that it's like it's one thing that's off of your plate, that you're like, if the job's getting done, it's getting done, and it's getting done well, then it's like you could have the ability to focus on your business, right? You're not focused on how to hire people, how to get them to work, and how to get them home, and all that. It just allows you to focus on your business. And I've had this conversation with a fair amount of people. I'm like, as owners, you kind of get in the weeds a little bit sometimes too much. And then if you can just get yourself out of the weeds, and whether that's hiring some of services to be done so you can get yourself up a little bit so you can see the trajectory of where you're trying to get to or what's going to come at you, you're going to be so much better off. And I think there's a lot of value in that if you can get people to realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have numerous customers that speak very highly of our services like you guys do, as well as on the labor side of things. And they're like, these guys are at an aluminum plant. Hey, we couldn't do it without you guys, right? We're in
Yeah.
a small town. We can't find enough guys. We just can't. We have such high turnover. The consistency that you guys have provided has allowed us to operate. We've tried to replace you and we can't.
Yeah.
Right. And heard that from multiple different customers or consultants that have worked at the plants that we're at. And, that if we can take that off of a business owner, right, or a
Yeah.
corporation, and then they can focus on doing what they need to do, right, improve the facilities, buy more metal, sell more metal, whatever it is, like that's the benefit we can bring.
Yeah, you'll have a job for life. I mean, I tell people you learn
Mhm.
this industry, like, you can have a job wherever you go, right? Because like you said there previously, like there's yards everywhere, like
Mhm.
smallest, littlest town you can imagine to the biggest city, right? Where
Yeah.
there's a zillion of them. I mean, like these are recycling facilities, scrap metal facilities, they're everywhere. And so I feel like for you guys, you've kind of hit on an industry that is kind of ripe for that type of service. And
Yeah.
another reason why I wanted to have you on here is just because I think a few more people should probably know that that's available to them. And I think that's what I like about doing this podcast is like people they should know, like, at least know that it's out there, whatever it is, whether it's a
Yeah.
fucking badass shear or a service that could help you, like just whether you use it or not, like just know that it's out there. And if you ever run into something that you think you could use, like it's probably worth a phone call just to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as business owners too, I think we always have to be looking for the next best thing for our business, right?
Yeah.
Internally, how can we take the next step? For us on the torching side of things, we had talking with a customer like, hey, we don't need a torch ferrous, but we really need you guys to torch stainless. So, okay, we send a guy up there with the torch, right? We're still learning about the industry.
Yeah.
We're sending a guy up there with a regular torch. He's burning, and he's a little slower, right? Stainless is hard to cut. And they say, hey, one of our guys at is like, hey, well, there's this powder torch thing that we've been learning about. So we look at it, like, yeah, looks like we need a powder torch, right? We saw a demo of it, we saw it at Scrap Expo or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we went ahead and ordered one. And it's like, boom, new piece of technology for us, a new tool. And it's like, man, you guys are flying through the stainless now because you brought this new tool, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, great. We saw something that can be improved. We went out, we figured out, hey, I didn't know it was out there, but now I do know it's out there. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool. Hey, anybody else want stainless cut? Because we'll buy more powder torches. Like, this is a great tool for us.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of outsourcing some things is they don't have to buy the tool. You
Mhm.
outsource the tool as well. You've outsourced the individual, but you've
Yeah.
also outsourced you know, the you outsource that part of it. And I think that it's just a huge advantage. And
Yeah. Yeah.
this gives you so much flexibility in your business, which I think is what we're all going for. I am, for one, I'm very proud to say, like, I voted for Donald Trump. I'm happy the way that the election unfolded because I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity that's going to come our way here soon, and
Yeah.
as an industry. And that being said, like I'm all for it. Um, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to grow.
Yes,
Which
there will be.
if and
Fingers
so
crossed.
like which it should be great for you guys because there's gonna be guys
Yeah.
like me out there like who are now willing to say put forth a little capital, put forth a little investment and move forward. And I think that if you have that flexibility to say, I'm gonna outsource a little bit of this, I'm gonna see what the possibilities are. I think
Mhm.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be pretty. I'm looking forward to 2025. Let's just say that and beyond.
You and me both. You and me
Yeah.
both.
So, anything else, man? Do you want to add? You want to talk about the chickens, the cows, the farm out there? Kind of what
I know
every
it's just animals. It's fun, it's good. It's good for the kids. Really,
yeah.
I love that. Nothing brings me more joy than seeing my kids enjoy the animals out there.
How
So
many kids you got?
got two. I got two. I got a boy and a girl. We got a bottle calf earlier this year. A little baby calf, typically dairy because they want to milk the mom once she gives birth, and had him in our backyard, right? A little fenced in backyard. Typically, our
Yeah.
dogs in there. We got a livestock guardian dog, so him and that calf just hung out back there for about a month. The kids go outside and pet the calf, or they're sitting on the swings in the swing set, and there's like a calf standing right next to them, or feeding it with the bottle, and that's the stuff that really is the most awesome part of it all. So
I saw the best clip I think it was a reel on the other day, and it was Dana White, Dana White always kind of he's got some good things to say.
mhm.
And this lady asked him, like, it was an interview question, like, what do you want to be remembered for? Like, change the industry, fight industry, this and that. He goes, I just want to be remembered as a good dad. I want to be like, when my kids look back, I want them to be like, we had an awesome dad. And he goes, fuck the money, all the things. Like, he's like, those money should be used, as a tool to create happiness. And if you've made some money, you can go on all these trips and you can do this. And then when it's all said and done, you can look back and you can say, this is all the fun I had with my kids, traveling, doing this, feeding them, like buying them a cow so they can feed the calf and all the things, right? Like, when it's all said and done, like, we're just trying to teach our kids by example, like, go out, take a chance, believe in yourself. But all in all, like, I think sounds like you probably have a similar outlook that I do. I just want to be a good dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
faith, family, it's all good right there, man. That's what it's all about. So I'm
Yes,
blessed. I got a
sir.
great family, and I'm super thankful for them. And frankly, their support. Without them, we couldn't do our businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I know. Like, I'm married to a school teacher. There's no way, her schedule matches up the kids without her, man. I'm in a world of hurt. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it. If anybody has any, questions on kind of what Premier Scrap Services provides or what they can provide, they may not be providing it today, but I guess guarantee if you call them and say, hey, what do you think about doing this or this or this, they would at least probably entertain the idea of taking a look. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you taking the time, Colin, man. It's been good to get to know you, over the last couple of months. And I think you guys are going to be a good fit in this industry. I think you guys understand customer service, what it's all about, what it takes to kind of support other people. And I feel like that's as good of a fit as anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I appreciate it. It was great talking to you, and we hope to continue to build a long relationship with everybody in this
Yeah.
industry and continue to work with you guys. So we love
And
it.
thanks for all the work you guys have done for us over the years, man. That's been
Oh
it's been
yeah.
awesome.
No,
Yeah,
I'm glad they're taking care of you. So that's the most important.
absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, man. Well, I appreciate you. And if you guys need anything, reach out to Colin and let's everybody have a great month.
All right.
Take
I'll talk to
care.
you later.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.